After seeing Mike Tyson repost, if you go to his comments hate our
Did
commercial.
not like the commercial.
Don't like our commercial.
Do it.
Yeah, and the views at the end of the day, I don't think actually make any difference in this contest. Views don't mean anything. It came down to not even likes. Probably, what if you're also hungry while your barber has cheesy fingers? The only reasonable outcome is to go and suck the finger.
And now we had a whole army of people in Dorito costumes, and we'd run around. And honestly, I've never had more confidence wearing a Dorito costume just around campus, yelling at people, interrupting people.
I guess people aren't used to people
so
our
approached.
age like making things that are actually good.
That if our ad would have won, our ad would have been like the #1 ad out of all the commercials that aired.
Welcome to the podcast,
Thank
Zach
you.
and Ryan.
Thank you. We're excited.
Yeah, how would you guys describe yourselves?
And just in general,
Yeah.
probably just like hot, handsome, tall, dark.
I'm not talking. Just two friends that kind of found our way into making movies, and we don't hate each other yet. So
We don't hate each other yet.
That's a positive.
We've been working since sophomore year of high school, so we would describe ourselves as like weird, creative. Probably shouldn't be touching a camera, but somehow we got our hands on one. So now we're making our movies, and I think that's been super exciting.
That's
what's
so
that
sick.
quote from Jughead from Riverdale? He's like, I just don't fit in. No, I'm just kidding.
Dude, you guys recently directed a commercial that was a finalist at the Doritos Super Bowl competition.
Yes, it was.
And, so many people voted that it was top 2 in the world. And that's just so amazing to hear, right? And I would love to hear, like, how did you guys hear about this commercial? How did you come up with the concept and how did you execute it?
Yes. So since high school, Ryan and I have always wanted to apply for the competition. The Doritos Super Bowl competition has been going on since like 2006. It ran through 2016, and they stopped it, and then they brought it back this year. And in high school, when it was still around, Ryan and I were like, we have to apply for this because it was so up our alley. And even though we want to make films and movies, we also want to make a Super Bowl commercial in our future. And then you talk about like the email.
Yeah, then since it was like they took it away in 2016, we're like, oh, okay, well, we were planning on doing it in 2017, but that, can't do it. And then out of nowhere, USC sends an email, and it's like, by the way, this competition's back. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we have to get on this. So then I have an email chain with Zach, and it's just USC email, me forwarding it to him, and I said, let's go. And he's like, let's go. And that was it. And that's like what started it. It was just like 4 words, and we're like, we on the same exact page. And the funniest part was they sent this email on October 28th or like October 29th, some like a crazy thing. And the end of the contest was like November
11th or something.
I think 17th, 18th, something like
Yeah.
it was like we had 3 weeks to do it pretty much.
Wow.
So we just had to get the ball rolling
Yeah,
as soon as possible.
It's quick. And we were working on like another project before.
Yeah, we were trying to make a short film.
We totally dropped it. We're like,
Yeah.
like we're doing this because we'd always wanted to do it, and also like commercials accessible. It's 30 seconds. It wasn't going to cost us too much. It didn't cost us that much. So we met up. We came up with the idea on the spot, which is pretty cool. That doesn't always happen. And then we got a team together, shot it over a weekend. We had like a week and a half of like pre-production, just like getting the barbershop together, cast, crew, etc. And then we shot it in like one day. It's like an 8-hour day, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it was a tiny day. We were in at 7 a.m. and we were out by 3.
That's it.
And then we edited in like 3 days. And then I do color, he does sound design. So that just took care of everything.
Yeah.
And then we were done. And then we submitted it. And the rest is history.
It was a really fun time.
I'm curious though, like so much of film is prep, but you guys did not have that much time to prep. How did that affect the creative process of like bringing crew on, like coming up with the idea? I mean, how much did you storyboard at all?
Oh yeah, totally. For prep, this is the first time we've ever did a previs. Like we shot the whole thing on our iPhone just at our house. Did that twice because we shot it once, edited it together, watched it, goes, oh man. Originally, the main character in it, he like reaches with his hand and the barber smacks his hand. And he was like, don't touch my Doritos. Like that was like a line in it. And we watched it and showed it to people, and they're like, that doesn't work. Like, it doesn't make sense.
It's not funny.
So then we're like, oh my God, it's so simple. He just needs to shove his head back. That's it. And it's like, by simplifying that beat, taking away the dialogue, taking away that, it just simplifies it to like that. And the barber continues telling his story. It's more of a character moment. So like, by doing the storyboard, it completely like, you know, our commercial, I'd say, has like 3 jokes, like a beginning, middle, and end. It's like first joke, second joke, third joke, fourth joke, maybe like ending. It saved our middle by like giving us a better joke.
Yeah, because the blocking was just more natural. It didn't seem like too comical. It seemed really realistic. And I think, to your question, like, that less time honestly made us dial in a little bit more, because we've never, again, done a pre-visualization. We had done a lot of photos. We did like a photo edit too. I forgot about that, when we like just grabbed photos from the internet and made an edit too. And I think because we knew we didn't have enough time, and that we only had like a couple hours of shooting and a bunch of other things, like, we have to get it right, right? Everything has to be perfect. And then in the editing room, it should be super, super simple. Even though we didn't make tweaks in the edit, like, I think because we had less time, we put in way more effort into the prep than we usually do. And that allowed us to like, I mean, shooting was so easy.
Oh my, set was like the best experience. And it was because of the prep. And so much, like, props to our producers, Joanna Song, Via McBride, Miguel Tyson, because we did all that prep. We get on set, we have 8 hours with, I think we had to get like 18 to 20 shots. Something. I think it was like 18 to 20 shots in that amount of time. At no point did I ever feel stressed. We had a full hour lunch in the day, maybe a 45-minute lunch. Like, we didn't skimp out. We don't do that. We get good lunches, very important. But the producers being so good, getting everything exactly how it needed to be, even with that time constraint and with the prep, we still had time to experiment, like, on stuff during the shoot. It's not like we went in with this plan and there was still things that we changed that like ended up being my favorite shot in the whole thing. Is this completely impromptu thing. It was supposed to be just the camera slides over and we see like the third barber over kind of give a reaction. Right. Then it turned into, wait a minute, let's widen this shot. Like, we have the time. Now it's 3 people doing a reaction. I'm like, oh my God, what if this like one guy's outside of the shop and looks in the window, which was like Teddy, our AD, was like, wait, put like this random guy in the window. That would be so funny, because we had the time to do it and we had already prepped what we thought we were doing. So it just gave us so much freedom to still have fun on set and try new things.
Yeah, I think that definitely translates into the final product. So
yeah,
it's so funny, hilarious.
And like, you guys had such a great team. Like, how did you guys put together this team of producers and everyone else?
So you know, the story's like a black story, right? So we knew immediately, like, we need like a black producer on the project, just so that we were kind of going the right direction and keeping things on track and whatnot, just to like make it the most authentic, culturally representative project that we could. So we got our friend Tracy at first, and she was amazing, but she was super busy because she was working on 480, the senior thesis. So then she's like, I can be an associate producer, and she did so much work for us. So very thankful for Tracy. She's amazing. And then we got our friend Miguel, my girlfriend Via, and then our really good friend Joanna, and they just worked so well together. And like, that was like the crew of like people just making the things work. They called like 40 barber shops. And then our friend Zaid, who we've known since high school, he shot it. He did us a huge favor, and he made it beautiful. So he put together his team. And then everyone else was USC students in terms of like hair, makeup, costume, production design was huge. I think that was another thing that we really dialed in. We had never really like focused on like having a color palette and whatnot. And I think that really shows within the final product. It's like, okay, Doritos is red, so we want everything else to be blue to kind of contrast it. And like everything that we did, it's like, all right, blue jackets and blue decorations and stuff, like, and the Doritos bag is surrounded, and it just made it look way more professional.
Crew, everyone was our friend. Like, we just knew everyone. I think the only people that ended up being like new in terms of crew, I think the only one was the who did production sound, which is Eddie Russick. And like, he's super cool, and he was a recommendation from another sound guy I knew, because I worked in sound as well. He was awesome. He's so cool.
He made a joke on set. Do you remember that?
Yeah, and you know, I love the fact that like
He was comfortable enough.
He was
with that.
comfortable enough to like after a take, he was like, "Oh, I was supposed to be rolling on that," and everyone goes silent for a second. He's like, "Ah, no, I'm just playing." And like, and you're like, you're freaking out.
And really,
like,
no one knew who he was at first.
Yeah.
Really, like he's the boy.
As soon as he did that, I'm like, "Oh yes!" I'm like, "This is the guy I
So-
want to be
that's
working
so
with right now."
awesome.
Yeah, and you guys said that because I was on Instagram, like when you guys were doing the marketing for it, and I saw Mike Tyson posted on his story. Like that's so sick that
Yeah.
you know you had who was his relation that was on your set?
So our producer friend Miguel, who we've known since sophomore year, his dad is Mike, and it's crazy because like he is one of the most genuine, beautiful people that we know. He's just so kind, also super talented. He's one of the most talented photographers that we know. He does like crazy natural geo stuff, and now he's like been wanting to step into the film sphere.
This is the first thing he's ever produced.
Yeah, it was the first thing he ever produced in terms of
Yeah.
film. I mean, he's been on other sets, but like in terms of student production,
Yeah.
he had wanted to be on something. I was like, come join us. Like, I believe in you. He was just so on it. Like, he just really helped us. And he worked so well with Joanna and Via. And I think him also, you know, someone being black just helped us make sure that the barbershop, because the barbershop is such like a, I don't know, just like a cultural, like,
Sacred place.
They're like, we want to make sure we get it right. So he helped out with that, which was awesome.
That's sick.
Yeah.
I mean, after you guys posted, and it was like the days leading up to the final result, I saw a lot of like news outlets like on Instagram posting about the commercial, and you know, reading some of the comments, it was like people were surprised with the concept. You know,
Yeah.
like what? How did you guys come up with that? You
Like,
know?
in the concept itself.
Yeah, of like him, you know, eating his
Yeah,
food.
yeah.
You know?
Okay, yeah.
So originally Ryan had pitched it because we called and he comes over and we're like trying to come up with ideas. And
I had
Ryan,
a script like
He literally wrote a script.
I wrote a script instantly, and I was like, "Here's my pitch," and I was just, you know,
because we're just going.
I was
right?
just excited. I just got all my ideas out, and I wrote like a Forrest Gump parody of when he's like running across America, and it's to get like the last Dorito chip, that sort of thing. And like by the end of it, like there's a swarm of people following this guy like running after the last Dorito chip, right? And then I'm like, oh, that would work if we had $8 million. You know, I'm just
Yeah.
like, if we had a ton of money, like totally do that. And Zach was like, well, we can't do that. I'm like, yeah, I just had to get that idea out. You know, maybe we'll save it for another day.
And I was like, well, let's think of something like what is relatable. And I was like, because I wrote a couple things down, like everyone goes to the doctors, blah blah blah. And I was like, well, everyone gets a haircut. So I was like, it'd be fun to do a barbershop. My first idea was like, well, the worst thing is if your barber had cheesy fingers. I said that would be the worst thing possible. And Ryan's like, that's not the worst thing possible.
No, I'm like, there's only one possible outcome. What if you're also hungry while your barber has cheesy fingers? The only reasonable outcome is to go and suck the finger.
Yeah.
You have to do it. You got to do it. And so once we had that, it was just a matter of like putting it in a comedic timing and order. And then it got to the point where he sucks the finger, and then he goes like, man, what? He freaks out. And we're like, boom, commercial done. And then we were thinking, and we're like, oh man, but
Do we call it commercials all have a button at the end?
every good commercial, like it has the thing, and then it's like, what's the final punchline though? It's like, that's not enough. What is the button? What is the thing to do it? And I was like, oh my God. He gets kicked out. And because I'm like, at the end of the day, a commercial needs to be a success story, right? Because you got to get the product. At this point, people are just like weirded out. But where's the success? It's like, oh my gosh, he gets kicked out and he gets the bag of Doritos, but at what cost? And his hair is buzzed off. You know, half of it's gone.
amazing.
And so that was like the final button. That was like the thing that took the longest was that final joke, honestly. The rest of it we wrote probably in the matter of 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Just like once we came
Yeah.
up with it. It was like this, done. And then an hour or so, 30 minutes, something, they're like, oh, that's what makes the commercial a Super Bowl commercial, in my opinion. It's
Yeah,
like, that's what
it really was.
brings it around. Yeah.
No, I mean, let's be honest. If the other guy didn't have like such a following on Instagram, like this was definitely like the better.
Thank you.
Oh,
I
thanks.
appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, it
so
was
funny.
like, it did come down to votes, and like, you know, we had so many things going for us. You know, like you said, Mike Tyson reposted, and that's a huge amount of votes. You would think. But at the end of the day, like, I really looked into the numbers of this because I was so curious, because I was like, I don't do social media, but this is a good time for me to kind of learn and think about it in a different perspective. And I realized after seeing Mike Tyson repost, if you go to his comments hate our
Did
commercial.
not like the commercial.
Don't like our commercial. And I realized, oh my gosh, like, his fan base is not the type of people who are going to support this commercial. And also, they're not the type of people to go and out of their way to, because in order to vote, you
It's a
have
lot
to
of steps.
click a link,
Yeah.
type in an email, or scroll down, find us, type in an email, hit vote.
Yeah.
That's like so many steps, right? You need what I would consider a dedicated fan base.
And that's like
right?
the other people. So like Zach King and Halle Berry and a lot of the other people in their corner.
Bailey, not Halle Berry.
Haley Bailey.
like-
Haley Bailey, yeah.
And they had, which is like big influencers and big names. And when you
little ones too. That was the most.
it's these like little ones that, when I say little, we're talking like hundreds of thousands, even tens of
50,000.
thousands. But the thing is, those people are reposting every day. Mike posted twice, I think, and did like a couple story reposts.
Right.
And that's super helpful. And we had the school post for us too. School posted, I think, 2 times.
Yeah.
But what you needed was daily reminders from people with dedicated fan bases, with thousands of people who are willing to go out of their way, tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands that will go out of their way.
And we don't have that, but we did. I think we're proud of like the social media campaign that we achieved, because when we realized that we were going to be in the top 3, we looked at, because we didn't know officially it was going to be Nate and Dylan for the UFO ones, but we knew that they were going to like definitely be in it. And they also had like, I think Dylan has like 5,000 followers, which is like, at that time was the combined amount of followers that we had. And then the other guy had like 20,000 followers on Instagram, but like 7 million followers on TikTok. We're like, okay, well, we need to learn the social media game. So we looked at each other like, we have to become TikTokers. We have to become Instagram. So we were like, here's our game plan. And we honestly made a ton of content to practice that you'll never see and ever. And now, and we got it going, and we were just surprised. Like things got, the minimum amount of views, I think, looking back at our Instagram videos, is like 15,000 views, which is crazy. That never happened before, but things were getting 100,000 stuff. And I'm now excited that I don't have to do that anymore. I don't want to be a guy who's like looking only at views and whatnot, because that's not why we do it.
Yeah, and the views at the end of the day, I don't think actually make any difference in this contest. Views don't mean anything. It came down to not even likes, probably shares did it, because if you're willing to share, you have to hit 2-3 buttons.
Yeah.
That already means you're willing to do more. And if you're sharing, like I mentally doing the math, I would say the conversion rate from like a view to a actual vote, talking maybe 1%. I really think it was that small.
Yeah.
I think it is really that small of a percentage.
Attention span is so small. And I think also, like,
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw, but afterwards, right when the voting closed, that's when our video took off. Like it got like it got reposted on Complex, a bunch of meme pages that I follow. Kicks reposted it.
Twitter got
6
million
million views.
Complex
TikTok
got
had like
4.
3. It was just like crazy how much traction it got. We're like, now, like you could have done a little earlier, but super thankful for it, because it's led us to a lot of good things. So
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about the actual marketing stuff of it, because I remember seeing people wearing Dorito shirts or even like bigger, what are those called, like costumes?
Those
They're
really
like
costumes.
gigantic. We see them at parties or even just walking down the street. Talk about, like, did you guys come up with that idea, or was it like members of the team?
Yeah, it was members of the team. Well, because we knew, kind of going back to what we talked about, like we knew we didn't have the social media thing. We're learning, so we're like, okay. The one thing that we do have on our competition was our ground game, in terms of we have a school, we have a college. So we're like, we're going to utilize that. So we came up with like having a voting booth. And then the main thing, our friend Teddy, he just bought an Amazon like Dorito costume. He bought like 1 or 2.
That's so cool.
And the first day he ran around and he's like, this is working really well. Yeah. So then after the first day, we got so many votes. So then I ordered 7 more. And now we had a whole army of people in Dorito costumes. And we'd run around. And honestly, I've never had more confidence wearing a Dorito costume just around campus, yelling at people, interrupting people. But like, you just felt fearless. And I think it also, I don't know about you, but it just proved to me like how bad we wanted it and how bad we just want our career. Just like, we're willing to dress up in these costumes. It was like a 9 to 5 job. Like we would start at like 10 in the morning.
Even more. It was like 9 to 10.
True.
Because we go out to even, it was one night I remember later on, I think it was the second Wednesday, 9/0 Wednesday, the bar night. I think it was like started at 9 a.m. We ended at like 2 a.m.
Yeah. Wow. It was crazy. And I think,
nonstop.
It was just pure adrenaline. Like it was the most fun we had. And when we lost, I think we were sad that we lost, but it was more of like a depression of like, those were the 2 craziest weeks of our life. And like, it was like so high adrenaline, like coming off that. We're good now, but it was just so much. And it was so fun. And, I'll always remember that. And I think our friends will always remember and very thankful for their support because, you know, my roommate's all dressed up as Doritos. His roommate's dressed up as Doritos. Yeah. Random people wanted to dress up as Doritos. So it's just like we made a Dorito movement. Yeah. So it was pretty awesome.
And I remember your girlfriend's in one of my classes.
Oh yeah.
And she showed us the class because it was like it was like a marketing class.
Yes.
About how to make it in the industry. And
yeah.
she showed in that class. And then you also, I think, were talking about it in our cinematography class. And I felt like everyone in the school was talking about it. You know.
I truly believe that of the I'm gonna go with a number of undergrads because graduate, you know, not as much at the school, but however many undergrads, I think there's like, let's say 15,000 at this school, 17,000. I truly believe 60 to 70% of undergrads knew about this
at least had heard about it.
Yeah. At least.
Because by the end of the second week, everyone, at least every other person, because before the first week, we're yelling at people like, I don't know what this is.
What is this?
What is this? And like, stop talking to me, you're weird. By the end of the second week, people are like, Dorito guys, I voted. I know about this. Yeah. And it was like every other person, which is pretty crazy. And like a ton of people we had never met before. Like, I just sent this to my whole family group chat. I was like, I have no relation with you, but this is so awesome. Yeah. Like, thank you.
So it was so trippy.
So I think, you know, it was cool to see how many people supported us and not just like, oh, just because you're USC students were supporting you. Like, they liked the ad. I think that was really validating
the funniest thing that kept happening is, you know, people would come up and, you know, we had QR codes, right, on these posters because it was, you know, it would take them to the thing and we're like, go find barbershop, vote for it. Or then if they like seemed weird about it, like, just watch them all. Just watch them all and pick the best one. Mm-hmm. Every single time people picked ours. And this is what would happen every time. They'd be like, ours is barbershop, and they'd watch. They'd be with a group of friends and they're being like all nonchalant about it. And then the commercial plays and they're laughing, and then one of their friends is off to the side, like all shy, not doing anything. And they turn to the friend like, oh my God, come over. They're like, it's actually good. It's actually good. and hearing it's actually good, kind of, it made me think, I'm like, you know, I guess people aren't used to people our age, like making things that are actually good. And it even came up when we went on KTLA 5, like we went on the news and we were, you know, at the desk and they were asking us. And a question that was like asked was like, is this the normal like standard for college kids? Is this like with the level that people are making at USC? And it was like an interesting question because I do believe that it is from a like creative potential, and I just don't think it's necessarily always reflected because of the limitations that, you know, you have within school from all these different things, you know. But like, you know, it was weird kind of hearing that from students, be like, oh, it's actually good. Like, they're shocked. I'm like, oh, I hope this standard rises for like student filmmaking to be big and feel professional, because it can. Yeah. I mean, getting into like budget, and for the longest time we couldn't talk about budget, but it's done now. So the thing costs $2,500 to make.
Wow, that's so nice.
So, and, you know, obviously we had a lot of favors to pull, but we made it work. Our producers, they made it work. But I mean, it was self-funded. Ryan and I like said, all right, we're gonna. Originally, we tried to do, what was it, like 1,000 or 1,200, and I was like, that wasn't gonna work. So we had to bump it up a little bit. But like, that's just from us, from out of pocket of, you know, from us working as hard as we can, like through color stuff and sound stuff.
And anyone who knows about making movies or commercials, this is a expensive commercial. Like, if any company was delivered this or like put, like, you know, paid to get this made, I truly believe, I mean, this thing's upwards of 100, 200,000. Like, it's an expensive commercial to make, just from a production standpoint.
And if you add stars and stuff, like, it could be a couple million. Yeah. So just like, you know, it depends.
Yeah.
It really depends.
Totally. That's so sick. And like, seeing the buzz that this generated, you know, was great. And like, what was the opportunities this led you guys to afterwards?
Yeah, we've been super blessed. I think, you know, I feel like we've gotten two types of opportunities, one through like the ad space and then one through the narrative space. Honestly, as of now, a little bit more on the narrative space, which has been kind of cool. From the ad space, we got reached out by Manscaped, so hopefully we're going to be working with them. We don't know what yet. So hopefully something with them, which would be really cool because we love their brand and it's so up our alley and like in terms of like comedy and whatnot.
They're so funny, and like the people we met there, they're such like down to earth, cool people. Would just love to work with them. That would be so fun.
And then another production company that's done a couple cool things. They've reached out and they want to work with us. Main thing from the narrative standpoint, we have a couple agencies looking at us. The main one is UTA, so potentially we'll see what happens with that.
That's
it's been pretty cool. So we're trying to get representation as a duo, as a writer-director duo.
Yeah.
It's hard to get represented as a duo, and I think it's tricky. But we also believe since we've been working together for so long, that hopefully kind of shows that it's not like we just did this one commercial. We have a whole body of work together. So we're trying to get representation because I think that will allow us to be taken more seriously, like by bigger studios and whatnot, because we're ready to get to the next level. So.
Absolutely. You know, I'm actually interning for a director duo right now.
Oh, sick.
Do you know Matt and Tyler of Radio Silence? So
offhand.
they made the new Scream movies.
Oh.
Ready or Not, Abigail.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So they're like this duo of directors who just like one is more focused on actors and one's focused on cameras, and they're just making all these things together, and it's like it's sick.
I love that.
And
That's
I think
crazy.
you know they're. I heard they were at a DGA court trying to fight for the credits of director duos, and I think in the future there's going to be a lot more director duos. And
Yeah, I think they're looked at like in a weird lens, you know. I think especially with like the Daniels, who is at least like for us, it's like our biggest influence. I love the Daniels. Ever since 2015, they made this short called Interesting Ball, which everyone should watch because it's just, it genuinely changed the way I thought about movies and comedy and dark comedy and films. It's really weird, but you can see how that turned into Everything Ever All at Once. And like how they, I think, have hopefully opened up the door a little bit. Now with whoever did Talk to Me, I forget their name, the brothers.
The Rocka twins.
Yeah,
Rocka.
them. They're
Love
them.
them.
Yeah, and that you said Matt and Ty. Like all these things are opening up and becoming more common, and I hope people don't. The one thing I am worried about is that people are going to start intentionally trying to like, force themselves into a duo.
Yeah.
If that happens, like I think it is so much harder to be in a duo.
Yes.
I mean, as we've still, we've made plenty of our own projects, me, him, with our thesis film, the junior thesis and all this stuff. It's so much easier to make a film by yourself. Like, it really is.
Because no one's telling you you're wrong.
We just tell each other we're wrong all the time.
All the time.
That's all we do.
But, what's interesting is, like, everyone, like, some of the best filmmakers all have some type of creative partner. Everyone has a creative partner. Whether that's, like, a writing partner, a producing partner. We just are a directing duo, right? But everyone has it because you need that other person to bounce off because one person's just not enough. And even, like, the best people that you can think of all have one person at least.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's so many examples of it. I mean, who's the brothers who did Good Time? Safdie brothers. They have a writer, like I think a writer-editor partner. I forget his name, but there's like a third one of that. You look at like Luca right now. He has his writing partner. The one who wrote Challengers wrote Queer and also wrote now this other one coming out with Andrew Garfield and Ayo Debris.
Right.
Like I forget the names of all these movies, but everyone has like that partner, and we just happen to find it in a directing partnership
Because we're both stubborn.
No, but like it could. That's just how it kind of unfolded since high school.
And it just works. I mean, I think, on set it works, and in the editing room it really works. I think that's where, honestly, we pride ourselves in. Like, we're proud that we run a good set, but like in post-production is where we shine because I think we understand it the best.
And for like narrative, we've had Charlie, who is my roommate, who I've talked about, Charles Weinstein. He is like our editor because things didn't pan out when it came to this commercial because of time. He wasn't able to help us out, but like for every future thing, like he is our guy because he's such that third person, just being able to come in and be like, well, have you thought about this? It's like, oh my gosh, that just opened up. And he's a genius as well, genius director, writer. Like, he's brilliant, and everyone needs to remember that name because he's gonna be so famous. Like, he's killer. Yeah.
I'm curious, like, how do you guys bounce ideas off of each other? And when there's like creative conflicts, like you guys said, you guys are stubborn. Maybe you have one idea and then you have an idea that's complete opposite. How do you guys find maybe a middle ground, or maybe sometimes even reconcile and be like, hey, you know what? You have the right idea here. Let me take a step back. Like, how do you guys balance that in general?
I think it's been learning about, like, I mean, it's hard. I mean, it's hard. We're humans, right? It's just like, we both have an ego, right? We're both super egotistical, but we're learning is like best idea wins. Because at the end of the day, like a film, it doesn't matter how good it looks, what type of actors you have. At the end of the day, if it's not a good story, everyone's going to check out. Like, every single person will check out. So I think focusing on that, making that a priority, like, we just like, I think what's kind of like happened and we talked about is like somehow I'll usually bring in like a basic concept, like a bigger concept. I'm like, what do you think, Ryan? And Ryan's like, this is awesome. This is how, like, then he gets more niche, and then he throws it back to me, and then I'll like fine tune it. And I think we just kind of keep ping ponging, going back and forth until we get into like a solid thing. But I would say usually I come up with like a broader concept, and then Ryan really like narrows it down. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, yeah, 100%. That's typically been the way it works. And now like going into features, it's the same exact way. And also, what's really funny is we've gotten to one fight ever.
Like actual fight. Like we argue all the time.
Yeah, argue. Like an actual fight, and it lasted probably 30 to 45 minutes, and it was freshman year when we were making a film of ours at the end of the semester. It was called Please Hold, and which was also made with our friend Teddy Nissen, who's he's super talented, awesome writer, director, everything. He does everything, and so we got in like one fight, and since then I'm just like, we just don't do that. I mean, whenever we have disagreements, I say we always say no. We never say yes to like the first idea. And we're so blunt. If we have a bad idea, I go, love it, bad idea, put it in the trash.
We also know when we are both on the same page and excited, we found something. Like, it's like very clear, like, that is the best idea, because we're both like,
we just feel it.
Because, like, when you don't feel it, and they throw an idea, and Ryan's like, and if Ryan throws an idea, and I'm like, like, we know that, like, there is something inherently wrong. And we don't know what it is yet. And, like, I think more we just get frustrated, not at each other, but, like, it's like, we can't figure it out. That's what it is. Like, we can't figure it out. But then once we figure it out, we're excited and we're going. And I think, like, we really got to test out our chops with like writing a feature, right? Because when we realized all these opportunities are coming, we're like, we got to start making stuff. So I had a film idea and wrote like the first draft. I was like, boom. I was like, Ryan, here. Ryan's like, this is great. It has great legs. However, you need to do, like, he gave one big idea.
Yeah.
And I was like,
I read it and I was like, this is great, but the second act just falls apart.
I was like,
at the midpoint, it like dies. The whole movie just died. So I was like, okay, revamp the whole thing. Go back to page 40, erase everything after.
Usually, like, you'd be like, I feel like
it was not
after training.
No,
not personal. It'd be like, no, like, I put so much. I deleted all 70 pages that I wrote, and I restarted. I just listened. I was like, he has a good point. I like his idea. Yeah. It's not personal. We just want to make the best thing possible. Rewrote it, and then I gave him again. And then, because originally he was going to rewrite it, but he was on 480. And then he kind of rewrote the third thing. So it's like, again, we just know that we're trying to make the best thing, and there's no personal. We just want to make something cool.
Yeah.
Like, how do you spread the work like amongst each other? On whether on set or pre-production.
Sets. I don't really know how we are on set. I've tried to ask people, because when you're on set, I'm not self-aware at all. Like, I'm just so in what I'm doing. Whenever I see videos of myself on set, I cringe. There was a video that was in one of the campaign videos we did where I'm like looking at monitor, I'm like doing this with my hair, and Zach is like seeing the phone, and he's like, yeah. And I'm like we do a take, and like the take was perfect. It's the one we use in the film. I go, and Zach is like cheering, and it's just how we are differently. I don't know. Like, I think Zach is usually say on set, right? If we're directing, he sets the scene. Like, he's the one who lets people know what this like broad kind of thing, like we said, big broad guy. And then as a take goes on, I think I'm the one more focused on making like tweaks. I like details. I like tweaks. I like moments. Right. The whole broad thing, he can take care of that. I really think so. And I think by focusing on those things, it's a lot easier to not miss anything, Like, we know we're getting the things we want out of it.
Yeah.
Because it's good to have both, right? The broad, you need it to, like, actually understand the story. But if you don't have the specifics, then, like, it's a boring movie. Yeah. But if it's just the specifics about the broad, then you have no idea what's going on. It's interesting, but it's like, what is going on? So I think it balances out. And then I would say, like, pre-production, it's just random. And then post-production, what it's usually been, now that it's nice that we have an editor, because before we used to edit our own stuff, and it would be like, I would do the general first edit, I would be the broad edit, then Ryan would do the more niche edit, and we would go back and forth. Now that we have an editor, it's been really interesting. I think a great exercise in learning how to edit without touching the computer. And I think it's so important for every director to do that. The best directors are the best editors. So I think, like, you need to know how to edit, but you need to also learn how to communicate. Because, like, it's so tempting when Charlie is like, editing, we have an idea, and I just want to like get on the keyboard and like, well, if you do this, and like every once in a while we do it because we're not trained yet, but we're getting better.
I don't know if maybe you experienced this with like you doing junior thesis because it's your first time editing something for someone. Yeah. And depending, I was very fortunate. I had the best 310. My trio was killer, right? And they were very kind in how they communicated. But you look around and you witness things where someone's like, just like a frame back, no frame back, like a frame, and it's like, I could never do that. Like say that. That's just like not. There's no point because a frame is not what you're looking for. It's a feeling, that you're trying to do, and you're not going to get any feeling out of being surgical and robotic.
And you can do that at like the very very end, but if you do that in the beginning, like it's over. It's over. The movie's over. You have to be able to trust your people that you're working with.
Yeah, going off of that, like, how do you build that trust with each other and also your other collaborators? Like, you go with the specifics and you're more in the general aspect. How do you let go of worrying about the specifics, or how do you go about letting go of the general bigger vision and just really focus on the details?
I think it's time, and it's also just like we know each other that we will give 120% everything that we ask of each other. And I think like knowing that, like I know like when I give a script to Ryan, I don't need to, like, obviously I'll look at it eventually, but if you want to give it to someone, I don't need to look at it again because I know he's going to do everything in his power to make it as good as possible. And I think that's with the people that you work with too. It's like, how passionate are the people that you're working with? That is the trust that you're going to have, because like, as long as you know that they're doing everything you can and you like their style and whatnot, that's all you can ask for. Because like, we know that we can't shoot and we can't do everything. I think we just know like the people that we surround ourselves with are the best at it, and like they're passionate about it. So we're just going to let them do their thing. We're not going to try to step on their toes.
And as I'm sure you guys as well probably started being the everyman when it came, you did everything on all your projects, right? That's my assumption. That's how I think a lot of people start with film, and that's how we were. And regardless of his methods, there's a lot of a lot of people have talked about like David Fincher, for example, right? Like I love his movies. I disagree with the fact that he does all these like crazy amounts of takes and all that stuff. But like, the one thing I really appreciate about I've seen like documentaries behind the scenes of like The Social Network, which is such a great behind the scenes doc. But like there are always characters, the people in the movie, they're talking about heads of the department. They're like, David Fincher could take my job right now, and I'm like, that's an interesting thought. They're like exaggerating, but everyone we work with, like I know for a fact that like they do their job better than we can. And it's like, and that's because we love their work. Like our DP Zaid, I could never do what he's doing. Like, who am I to like, step on him, sometimes I joke with him, like, because we have good rapport. I'm like, oh, Zaid's looking a little commercially in this shot. like we just joke around, but Zaid gets it, because we have a good relationship. And like, just like our editor, Chuck, I know he has incredible taste. So it's like, when he's doing something and he makes a decision, I might not like it at first, but I'm like, he's thinking about this like other part. And it's just, working with people that you love their work as well, and you hope they love your work. So it's like this mutual, like symbiotic like thing, because you never want to be like worried about like, if at any point you're thinking you can do someone else's job better than them, you're set up for like not even done, but it's hard because then you lose the trust. When you lose, it's like any relationship, without trust, there's nothing. It's the foundation of everything. So if you lose that trust on set, everything is going to fall apart, and it's really hard to move forward.
And I would say like trust is so important with your confidence. I think 80% of directing, I would say, is just being confident. Yeah. Right. Because like, you're the captain of the ship. The moment that someone sees that you're breaking, then the whole ship's going down, right? So it's like having a good poker face, but also like like when things are going wrong, like shoving it in and be like, okay, like I'm just gonna like everything's fine, right? But also like
any decision is like, even if it's the wrong decision can be better than no decision.
And then it's being like just confident in like your decisions is going to make you a better director, but also just being confident in your crew, right? And having that trust is going to allow you to be a better director, because then you're not, oh, well, I don't know what. It's just like, boom, I want this, that. I think that's why, because the amount of prep that we did on the Doritos commercial, like we were so confident on set, and we like knew exactly what we wanted. We had fun because like we had a vision. Everyone knew on set like what they were doing. And I think that allowed us just to like come in with like I don't know, we just came in with a rapport, and like ready to go.
Yeah, dude, I love what you said earlier about like finding people that are better than what you do. And you pointed out Ethan Chu on that slate earlier.
Yes.
That was the first like actual film where I had a dedicated DP because I would always direct and DP.
Yes.
And he was the producer on that film actually.
Oh,
First
killer.
producing credit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he told me that same thing. He's like, you gotta find people that are better than what you do in those departments. And then I reached out to Ethan Chu because he was there's the All American High School Film Festival, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And his film beat my film this
Yeah.
1 year. So I DM'd him like years ago.
I hate you.
And I was like, oh no, I was like trying to ask like, how do you do what you do? And then years later, I'm like reaching out again. I'm like, hey, I'm at USC now. Like, do you want to work on something together? And then, you know, he is such a good DP and does such a good job, better than what I could do.
Yes.
So I love what you said with that. And speaking of like, you know, starting out and beginning your film careers, like how did you guys start out? You know,
I started with
YouTube.
Lego stop motion was my first thing. So
Oh my
I
God,
started
sick,
making like Lego stop motion on this little camera, and I would just take a bunch of photos and I play it back really, really quickly. I'm like, things are moving. And I thought it was the coolest thing, and my parents were hoping it was just gonna be a hobby, but I just kept finding myself doing it like, oh, well,
Honey, he's touching the Legos again.
Yeah, he's doing the Legos again, and then like I had my iPod 4 and I downloaded action movie effects, and I was making things explode in my. They were like, "This is awesome!" And I made
The Call of Duty Hellstorm
Yeah,
missile that comes
exactly.
down.
Nerf war battles, and then when I think it was like 10, and I saw on YouTube it was Lego Black Ops. I don't know if you guys have seen this thing.
Such a good
And it
video.
starts off. This guy just running with these people, pew 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 pew, and he's like killing all these little Lego guys, and the Lego guys are shooting each other and killing each other. And I was like, as a kid, I was like, I have to make this. I was like, this is the coolest thing in the world. So I was like, I tried to recreate it, but I didn't know what stop motion was because I was an idiot and I was 10 years old. So I put the Lego thing. I was like, my hand. I was moving it. I'm like, my hands are. How do they not put their hands in this like string? And my mom actually is like, I think it's called like stop motion. Shout out mom. So I started doing that, but
It's her fault.
it's her fault. But I think, I mean, something I always talk about is like, I grew up with YouTube. Like YouTube was my teacher, and YouTube I think was something I gravitated towards. I honestly didn't watch that many movies growing up. I'm so bad at watching movies. I have no director knowledge or like actor knowledge. Like it's not there. But YouTube, because when I saw a YouTube video, I was like, I can make that. Because with like a movie you're watching, like I can make that when I was like a kid, but when I saw YouTube videos, like I can make that. There was a ton of tutorials on like how to make it, like indie filmmakers and indie mogul and like all the other like YouTube channels, Film Riot, that type of
Before
thing,
Darius.
right? Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and honestly, the first videos I watched was Zach King, not his magic trick videos. He made these like skits, and I loved them. And he taught how to make like a steady cam with like wood and pipe, and like I built it. Like I went to Home Depot, I spray painted it black. But like YouTube taught me how to be accessible, learn the technical things, learn like my somewhat of a style. And I think, you know, Ryan could speak, and eventually we would merge.
Yeah, and so for me, I always like loved movies. I watched a ton of movies as a kid growing up. I always loved them. But I never like pieced it together that was something I was gonna do. And then my friends Gabe and Jalen Choi, who like are the coolest people ever, they had a YouTube channel called Fresh Dudes Productions. And they made YouTube videos that were like very much in like the Ryan Higa realm. Like
Love Ryan Higa.
yeah, you know, and I was always watching Ryan Higa, and I'm like, oh my god, these are like the funniest things ever. And so they would do those short little videos, and then I was like, oh my god, I want to make one with you. And so then I would help them on like a couple of them. And then I just ended up making like edit videos, like scooter edit, like stuff. My brother was actually doing that before me. He did edits, and I was like, that's cool. Maybe I'll like try that. And then that grew into, in high school, we had the chance to audition. Like you had to audition for our film program, which was like only 15 kids at the time. And it was through this program called Film Ed, which is
public school too.
Yeah, public school and like all this stuff. And so we ended up making it into that class together. And this is sophomore year, he was kind of like this odd one out. Everyone in that class knew each other in some way.
I came from a different middle school.
Yeah, he came from a different middle school, and like, just what we just didn't know.
I had
each
no
other.
friends.
No, that's
I had no
Yeah,
friends.
he had no friends, and so he comes in, and at first week he's like, make a film and bring it in or whatever, and I'm like, oh yeah, like I want to make a movie, and brought it in, and then I thought it was okay, and then Zach showed his film, and everyone was like, fuck, like this thing's good. And I remember being like, okay, and then I think Zach watched mine, and he was like, oh yeah, like this thing's good. So
And then we hated each other.
you have two options from that point. Yeah. You either make him your ally, or you become like enemies,
forces,
right? You become enemies. So then the next project came along, and I was like, so Zach, like, I don't know, you had like a pretty decent film or whatever.
Sorry, like you want to like make a movie or something.
Yeah, like we're flirting. We're just like, you want to like make a movie, and we did it. And this next movie we made, we bring to class, and it's like badass, like for the time, you know, we're like, this is really good and funny, and people are like, oh, there's something here between these two. And from then on, we just made everything together, and it was just like every single project. I mean, I've kind of gone back and tried to organize everything we've ever made. I mean, we're talking like 40, 50 short films, just like little 1 minute, 2 minute, like over 4 hours of like shorts and stuff
and that's a practice.
And that's just practice. You know, no one's ever going to see those, but
one day maybe.
Hey, maybe one day. And, you know, it kind of just grew, and film ed was like the coolest thing, being educated like over the summer doing this like program, which taught you how to make movies, and you submitted to the Orange County Film Festival, and you competed in all this stuff, and it all kind of just grew from there until we were like, got to the point where like, okay, well, we got to apply to colleges, and we've been making all these films together. We're like, well, the odds of us, you know, going to the same school are none. Like, it's not going to happen. Yeah. Schools, they pick people not from the same area. Like, you know, they try to spread it out a little bit, because the whole world submits. It's tens of thousands of things. We're like, we're not going to get in the same school. And we both got into USC. We're like, oh my, we're like, what are the odds of that? That's so like, that's crazy low. Like, how did that even happen? And also both getting into film production, which especially that gets split up so often here. Like, you go to MAPS, you go to CAMS, they just put you somewhere, and we both got it. So then once we got here, we just were like, we got to establish ourselves. In our freshman year, we put in work.
We made like 5 short films together.
Like 5 short films, because it was this class where we had full freedom. We had like assignments, but you could make whatever you want, like, you know, whatever, kind of with whoever you want. And we just did that. And every time we made something together, we're aware that we kind of needed to like prove ourselves in some way, you know, again, because the part of film school is it's competition. And I think that's so healthy. You know, there's a way it gets toxic, but like, I'm so glad we had a class that was competitive, because everyone started making their like best work possible.
Yeah, because I think like in high school, you know, you stick out if you like try really hard, right? I think USC, what's cool is like every single person is gonna try to make the best thing possible, because we are all the kids that were like, I'm gonna make the coolest project for like my like little project that technically doesn't matter in high school, but like you're gonna like do as much as possible to like make it as good. Now everyone's on that same level. Everyone's like, I'm going balls to the wall. I'm going to do everything I can to make this the perfect thing possible. And it's intimidating when you see other people like throwing it out, but like, it pushed us, and we're like, we're going to stand out. And I think what was interesting, I forgot who it was, it won't name, but like someone had said like with our films, like Zach and Ryan made like YouTube videos. And I remember Ryan, I was like, it kind of like, it was like a tiny sting, but at the same time, it was like well, you know what? We need to start making our things a little more cinematic in terms of like the story and whatnot. And that, I think that elevated our stuff quite a bit. Like, we really started thinking of like story, not just because we make things entertaining. Yeah. And I think that like we're so lucky that we love making things entertaining, because that's what most movies are. Most movies are, sorry, I just totally bumped that. Most movies are like weird. Yeah. And you just don't realize it because you're thrown into that world. But like, that's kind of natural for us. So we just are, getting the story aspect down.
Yeah, that was kind of the growth into college, and kind of led to, just keep on making things. But yeah, the start was definitely like for both of us before high school, met in high school, and then here.
That's sick. What did you think made both of you get into USC film production?
Well, actually, that's interesting, because we kind of did this thing. We like made 2 films. Yeah. Like together.
Yeah, we helped each other out.
We helped each other out on both of our like USC applications, and we knew which ones we were going to submit. I was like, I had this idea for this, like, I had this preconceived thing in my head. I'm like, USC expects this certain thing. Like, there's there's a meta to this, you know. It's like, okay, like there's a meta, I can like play the game, that sort of thing. I've learned that there actually is not. There is not a meta.
I have no idea how
I truly think it is like flip a coin, they like it, and then do an interview, and then the interview is like, you know, the thing probably that they kind of go, yeah, you know, gladiator type shit. And so we like picked these two films. I did this like not a comedy. I did a film about a kid trying to make the perfect paper airplane, and in his imagination it comes to life, and it's like partially his face is animated, and it's like a mixed media thing, which is like it turns into Toy Story, where the paper airplane gets neglected as the kid grows up, and then the air conditioning blows him out the window one day, and there's another little kid on the street who like finds this new toy, and it kind of starts that cycle right again. And so it was like very much Toy Story 3, like, you know, handoff of the toys. That's all it was.
And got him in.
And they got him in.
Yeah.
And then Zach helped on that. And then for Zach's his thing, you can talk about.
Yeah, because I think I told myself, I'm like, you know what, I want to make the thing that I want to make in film school, like the weirdest thing possible. And if they don't like it, like then like, you know, I'll go somewhere else. Because I originally actually made it for the Chapman things. I had another idea for USC, but I liked how it came out so much. I'm like, if USC wants me, they're gonna take this. Yeah. And that was the Santa video. It was like a 16-year-old kid who still believes in Santa Claus, but he wants to kill him because he hasn't gotten any presents that he wanted, or anything. He's never gotten any presents. So he devises this whole plan, and by the end of the film, he like poisons like the cookies and whatnot. And he's like waiting on the couch for it to happen, and he wakes up and he sees his dad eating the cookies because Santa's not real, and he kills his dad. And it was like so, so it was like dark, and I was like, this is awesome. And that got me in, and Ryan helped out with that too. And like I remember that was the worst writing block I'd ever had, and it was scary because I couldn't think of any movie ideas, which is scary, because now I feel like I'm flowing.
Yeah.
But then
we haven't had writer's block in a long time.
But it was really bad because like I need to come up with a thing or I'm not going to get into school. Like that was like, it was like the pressure, right? So every day I would go downstairs into my like living room, and I would just talk to my mom and dad. I'm like, do you guys have any ideas? And they're like, no. And like, I did it for like probably 3 months. And finally my mom was like, you should do something about like telling your kid that Santa's not real. And then I like boom, and things started moving, and I called Ryan, like, Ryan, what do you think? And Ryan gave an idea, and like
you guy who like the Doctor Strange,
like thrown back, like this is it.
Yeah.
Oh,
and then I posted it on YouTube. It was like college application film, like USC, and it blew up. It was just cool. So
it's now, I think, whatever. Not that I'm jealous or anything, but like his is now like, I think mine didn't get any views, whatever, when I posted it, but his, I think, is now the second highest USC like application film accepted on YouTube now, or something like that, after Liam Loughran, who had like 2 legendary ones, which was like some like pizza delivery and like Shotgun, which was about the baby getting kidnapped and whatever, which is just iconic. Yeah. I wonder where he is, man.
I wonder that too.
Yeah, what is it? He was everyone's like inspiration.
Right,
like,
same.
No, because I remember I checked his YouTube channel at some point, and I think I saw his like 310, which was about like
the robber one?
The robber, and the person goes in, steals a dress, and then he likes the way it looks on him. Yeah. Something like that. I don't know. I don't remember exactly, but it was sweet. It was like cute. And
I have no idea where he's.
Yeah. Hopefully he's doing good.
Hopefully he's doing
Hopefully
good.
Shout out bangers. Shout out Liam.
Shout out Liam
for putting a high standard.
Really high standard. High bar.
And you know, I'm glad that high bar existed. I think it elevated a lot of people who submitted to colleges.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's crazy how that works. You know, all these people are like, there's this little matrix that we're all like connected to, this little hive mind through other people's work on YouTube, and it's like its own subculture of like, oh, I'm a filmmaker. It's like, I'm a person who applied to film schools, and I know this one movie. Yeah. You know, I know so many people that, I mean, you've been, even people who have come to school have been like, I've seen your application.
You did the Santa one.
You did the Santa one.
Look, that was me.
That was him. Yeah. I shot it. Thank you.
Ryan did shoot it.
It was like, that's literally, we just made 2 of them, and it was like a really good
time.
Good vibe.
No, that's sick. And you guys were at OC together. You guys grew up in OC?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, our parents' houses are like 7 minutes away from each other.
Pretty crazy.
5 minutes if you're fast enough. I don't know. Yeah, super close. So, and our parents or friends. I think they just played bingo the other night.
But bingo the other night.
The American dream, dude.
Oh yeah, living the dream.
Yeah. Wait, so you, speaking of OC, like you directed that OC nomination video.
Oh yeah,
Right.
it was supposed to be both of us. He didn't want to do it. It's cool. Yeah. They asked me because and he has too. But since graduating, for a while I always taught post sound over camp, and then there was a year and like a partial year where I taught as a main instructor, and I got asked again this year. I still don't think I can because of like work that might come up, but yeah, I love film ed, and so when they asked me to do the nomination video, I was like, well, like, I got to do this once, you know, because there's kind of this there's this big award at OCFF, the Orange County Film Festival, that you get, which is called Filmmaker of the Year, which like the order of this is the craziest order of events, but it went the year before me was Zayd, who was like one of our best friends, shoots all of our films, like Zayd. And then the next year, like, I won. And then the year after me, Alex Guo won. And then the year after me, Daisy won. Yeah. And so, and then after that, this girl named Hunena won. And it's like, and Hunena is at Chapman now, legend. Cannot wait to see what she's making. Like, great writer, director, also probably the best sound editor, like, mixer I've ever met. She's so awesome. And it's just like this thing that happens, and every year after you win, it kind of became a thing like, hey, you're gonna probably direct it. And so I'm like, the torch is handed to me, and I'm like, well, Zayd didn't do it the past year, so I'm still gonna bring him on because he's a DP. So I'm like, you want to shoot this thing? And he's like, let's do it. So we made it. That was, to this day, one of the craziest experiences of my life, and I think it taught me so much about directing on a bigger scale. It, like, I feel like that is a way to easily know, like, to crush you if, like, it'll tell you if you want to be a director or not, something like that. I mean, our crew had 55 to 60 people. It was, like, a huge production, like, so many moving parts. It's 30-something minutes long. Tons of, like, I mean, like, 20, 30 extras. Like, oh, I mean, it's
I was
huge.
an extra.
It was such a massive shoot. And our shooting days, I mean, we had like 30 shots to do a day. Crazy. With that big of a crew, it's crazy. Yeah. And so it's a very easy way, I think, to get discouraged if, you know, something like that takes you down. And that did nothing except bring me so much confidence that I want to keep doing this. I loved making it. It was like, it made me realize I don't want to do another nom video because, you know, they're just so big, but they're so
very
cool.
Specific too.
And it's so specific, but it's so rewarding when you go and you show this nomination video to these kids. Because the thing is, you have to keep in mind, you're doing this for these students, and I was in their positions once, and I know what it's like to see your name pop up on this video and you don't know when it's going to come because it's woven into this story, and then it goes, oh my gosh, it's time for nominations for best independent short or something, and you look, and then your name comes up and you're, holy shit, like, you go crazy. And when I just remembered that feeling, and I was like, I need to bring this feeling to these kids because like, I know what it's like. And when that thing played in the theater and you just hear these groups of people erupting with joy, you're just like, yes, like, it's so worth it. And it was so fun to make. And it was, you know, Zach wasn't necessarily there on set and stuff, but like, he was there in the background, like, ideas, and like, he edited it. He was, you know, he was there the whole process. So like, you know, just a nature of, I was willing to like pull my hair out and have a crazy work-life balance where actually there was no balance. It was work and no life actually. But so that was a really, really crazy experience. It was fun though.
No, I saw that video and I couldn't believe it. I was like, it's a wonder going up a hill with all these like historical pieces.
Oh yeah, I mean, it has like 3-4 different genres. It's a Western at certain points. It's a Steven Spielberg movie at some points. It's a 1920s, like, Great Gatsby era at some points. It's a time travel movie. It's all this stuff that somehow like comes together. And I'm really like, I'm really proud of it. Also, it was a great experience working with child actors because they were like, I think at the time 11 and 13 or something like that. Right. Really helpful to learn that. There were so many. I feel like there's every project you do, you know, you take something out of it, and it's like we have all our shorts that we've done, and that one specifically back in, I guess that was my sophomore year, it taught me how to work with a big crew, taught me like mass communication to different departments, and then taught me how to work with child actors, taught me how to work with a Steadicam, taught me how to work with extras, like all these things. It taught me how to work with a production designer, all costumes, all this stuff. And every project should have a thing that you're like,
take away.
This is what I'm taking away from it. Like barbershop, when we did that, I think it was the accumulation of, it was previs, and then also the
Color.
And then also the color, as in like
Color palette.
color palette, production design, just
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a good time.
Dude, that was so sick. And talk about like, how did you guys get into your different fields of post production? Because you do color grading, you do sound. Like, how did you guys find that passion for those?
I
They
think
need to make money.
they need to, they need to make money, right? I think it was easy to start editing at first, like in high school and whatnot. That was like an easy way to get gigs. And then going to the money thing, actually, like I had seen on like a budget sheet of like who's getting paid for what. And at the time I didn't realize color was a separate thing. And I saw like the editing fee, and then I saw this crazy color fee, and I was like, what? I can do that. And I was like, that's stupid. Like, why are you getting paid more than me? I'm like, dude, and I like the color because I would color in Premiere. And I was like, that's my favorite part anyways. So I was like, I'm going to try to figure this thing out, because DaVinci's free, most accessible program for a lot of people to learn, right? Yeah. So I downloaded it, and the first thing I really colored was the nomination video. That was the first thing I did. And I did it, and I thought it came out pretty good, especially for my first time. And like, I just did it on my laptop, and I reposted my story. And my good friend Avery Niles, who's a crazy color grade artist, and he came to USC, he just graduated. He's like, he swipes up, he's like, did you just do that on your computer? And I was like, yeah. He's like, oh man, you're good, and we need to get you a wheel. And I was like, a wheel system. He's like, we're gonna get you set up. And he helped me out. He let me borrow this wheel thing for a while. He taught me everything that I would know, and like, I just started loving color, because one thing that's cool about post-production is that you get to be on a lot of more projects in a span of time, and it's not that like, I don't know, like time consuming in terms of just like being on set is a lot. But like, I think seeing that many projects informs your directing and your style and whatnot. And I think that's been like the most helpful thing. But like, again, also it pays my bills and it's fun. And I've been able to partner with a ton of DPs here, and it's really cool.
Yeah, and for me, sound started in high school, actually because of Zach. So, like I said, one of the
I started as the sound designer.
He was the first sound designer, and it's because he did. He made this film in like sophomore year, and I watched it, and I'm like, this thing sounds epic. Like it sounded like it had all these cool sound effects and whooshes and booms.
And sound design at that point was just like putting a lot of sound in.
Yeah,
sound effects in.
And then our teacher for our film program, Alex Graham, legend, is the intro to sound professor at Chapman.
Oh, okay.
And so he sees that, and he's like, sound design. He's like, by the way, I don't know if you guys know this, I teach sound at Chapman. And he's like, I'm also like, I do sound, and like that's what I've done my whole life, and I make music and all this stuff. It's like, that's cool. I'm like, can you teach me? And so then he like taught me and mentored me through that, and from then on, it's like every film I did, it's like I spent, I could edit a film for an hour and be cool, I'd picture lock it, but sound 2 days like minimum, just like grinding. I'm like, this is gonna sound perfect. And it made all the difference. I think like everything we have done has felt so much more professional, not for any other reason except for like the fact that it sounds good.
100%. And sound is the biggest difference.
It's such a big difference. I mean, it's everything, and I can't, like, it's so, like, you can say that all the time and be like, oh, well, there's some arguments where it's like, movies are 50-50. It's not. Sound is more like than it really is. And you can argue that all day, but I really think it's like 60-40, maybe even 70-30 on the, I mean, there's so many. Pony Smasher, who on YouTube is like the guy who made Shazam, the director of that. Yeah,
Lights Out.
Yeah. And so he did a video about it where he showed Shazam at like 240p with perfect audio, and then 4K with bit crushed bad audio. Right. And you don't want to watch. You'd rather watch the bad quality video one, because just mentally that's what happens. And after I saw that, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna lock in on this sound stuff. Did that all through high school, and then my senior year. This is where things like really start getting trippy when you think about it. But like, I think I was still 17, but I lied. I said I was 18 because my word got around about my sound through like we got on the Orange County Register for our films, and someone like knew I did sound and was like, hey, do you want to do some sound design for Zach King? And I was like, yeah, sure. So then I ended up doing 18, 20 videos for Zach King, just doing sound design. Yeah, for King Studios. I was like 17, told him I was 18, something like that. And so did that, did all their like Dude Perfect collabs, did their Daniel Mack collabs, did all of these like big collab videos, Sky Brown, like all these little, you could go back, there's so many of these videos I did for them. I can't even like remember them all. There was a Bitcoin one, Doge to the Moon. Like I did sound for so many of his videos. And did that. That was like that was my first ever job. I was 17, was film. I've only ever worked in film. And so then from there, that got me a job kind of in sports production. And I started doing sports. I was like an A2 sometimes and like a editor. Then went to college and kept doing sound. And I've been a mixer. So I'm a QST at the film school, a qualified sound technician. I run ADR. I'm a student mixer. And I've kept doing that, and then do freelance sound, do music videos.
And I think what's nice is because like, I mean, going back to like color, like once we've discovered that color grading was a thing, because we didn't really realize it was a thing. Yeah. We look back at our old projects, we're like, like, there's like wow, like that's a huge difference. And I think what's nice is that because we each, I mean, in the post-production process, like things go by really quickly in terms of like you have to wait usually for like your sound designer and your color, but we are the people that do it, and it's also really cost effective too. Like we don't have to, like we are the package, like we will do it because we can do it at a high enough level where it's like
saving thousands
of dollars and also just time. Like we'll just do it, and I think it's just I don't know, it just makes us be able to get more things done, more effective, and I don't know, better stuff.
Yeah.
And I think
we know that there are obviously people who are far better at these things than us. You know, we do it because we do it at a level that for us it's like good. It's I think it's great actually. Like I think our work in that regard is great, and there are people who can perfect it. We're not perfectionists. Like we really we have never been perfectionists. It's not something that I strive to be. It's like if people wouldn't notice,
it communicates it,
and it does the job, and it's like up to our standard, which is a high standard, then it's like it's good. There's such thing as good enough. Move on, you know.
Because people are not going to notice, and I think with our side jobs though, we're like that is not what we ultimately want to do. I remember I was sitting down at like Ryan's house, and I was like, Ryan, I just don't want to keep coloring. Like I was like we want to direct, and Ryan's like, no, we got it. And I think we
and then I turn around from my hunchback of 18 hours of Pro Tools. I'm like, I agree, man.
Yeah, and I think and what's cool with the Doritos thing, it really opened it up. Where like we were definitely going to keep probably doing these little gigs, but hopefully like less and less to the point where we're just fully directing. And I think it's nice because now we have this knowledge and whatnot when we start making features and whatnot, that we get to work with a team, and like we have that knowledge now to communicate what we want.
Totally. No, I think every director should have some technical skills, like to pay the bills.
Right? A side job, you know, it's like so.
I worked at Trader Joe's.
Yeah, any like it. I think also when you're going through a film school, it's easy to get caught up in like learning creative skills, right? I like really have a hard time with thinking that you can like learn directing through a curriculum. I don't think that's possible. Like I really don't. I think, and same with writing. Like you can learn the rules of writing and follow them until you're good enough to like break them and make the changes. But like I realized as soon as I got here, I'm like, all of the films we have made at USC are not USC affiliated projects. We direct outside of school so we can own our films. We would still own our IP, but like we own our actual physical film, and it's not affiliated. And I think it's just really
freedom, a lot of freedom.
Yeah. There's just a ton of freedom in that, and it's super helpful.
Yeah.
No, definitely. And you guys say like it's a good side gig to pay the bills. Like, can you guys reveal some numbers relating to that? Like,
yeah, I mean it super varies, but like the hard part is that there's some months where it's like I just did 4 music videos or 3 music videos plus a short film. Short films pay the least because they're all like independent and
no budget,
and they're just being like this. Commercials, love it. I love when a producer comes to me, he's like, yo, I
have a commercial now done.
Yeah, I have like a couple producers who like I'm like their second, probably like first or second choice, probably second. There's always like someone better when it comes to sound, and so like they come to me and they're like, yo, like we have this project, and it's gotten to the point where they're like, there's no more negotiation. It's just like, hey, here's a project. It's like a 30-second to a minute short. It's like $750. Like, go and do it. And that's. When you put it into perspective, I know plenty of people who do production sound or like DPs, and like their day rates are in the thousands, Yeah. And so that $750 is kind of up to me how I spend that time, and allocate it, which is something I do like about post. So say they're like, here's $750, delivery is in like 3 days, right? And expecting notes, so you want to give them like a day to give notes. So you do it in like 2 days and you do some more notes. I mean, $750, you can make your own hourly pay out of that. Yeah. So say I have 3 days to do it. I take $750. Let's say each day I just break it into like, $250, and I want to work 5 hours each day. I just gave myself a $50 hourly pay. Yeah. And that's something you can do for yourself. Mm-hmm. Unless there's a time when it's like you get two producers who just reach out to you. He's like, I have one's like, $750 for this project, $600 for this, and you're like, they're due on the same day, and they're 2 days from now. So you're like, shit, now I need to do $1,300 worth of work in 2 days, but also doing notes. It's like I'm about to work one 16-hour day or something on this, but the hourly pay is gonna be like almost $100 an hour. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so when you put it into numbers like that, but guess what? Those could be your only 2 projects that month. And that's what makes it hard. So it's really, the numbers sound big. And that's the big thing. It's like the numbers sound big because they are, like, at least I think sometimes on certain projects. And the numbers get way bigger for when you're way more talented. But
the project can take longer. I mean, this is like very similar, same thing with the color, like rates and whatnot, how you negotiate it down. Yeah. But it can be the opposite where it's like, oh my God, you're getting paid $750 for color. That's crazy. But then the amount of notes that you get and some of the amount of passes and hours, like it almost ends up being like below minimum wage, right? And it like gets cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. And that's just kind of the name of the game, right? And I think it's like sometimes you're making, like sometimes you can make like $75 an hour. It's like, that's crazy. Or $100 an hour because like that's the nature of the project. Or other times you're making like $10 an hour. Like it just really depends.
For every project where you have a producer or director that goes, I love it. Great. No notes. I'll take it and run. And it's like, well, you just paid me a crazy amount. I only worked 2-3 hours on that. Like, that's crazy money. For every one of those, you have one where it's like, let's set up 8 meetings in person and 4 passes of notes. And that's why also it's important what I've been doing is, you establish that boundary up front, whether it's in the form of a contract or just a verbal agreement like, hey, this is my rate. That's why I like working with the same producers over and over again that trust you and your work, and then you just know that they're not going to like lowball you. Right. When you have that communication, it's literally a producer sends you a text and it's got a job, need it tomorrow. Here's, $500. Right. And it's just, there's no more communication. They know your style. They just know you need to get in there, get the job done, send it back to them. I mean, they're one of the awesome examples. I think for this project, and I still take like some fun projects just because I do still love sound. Even like I did some sound for a Gracie Abrams music video, and that was really exciting because I'm like, Gracie Abrams, cool artist. Like, and the friend of mine shot it. His name's Nima Sadehi, really cool DP. He was like, Ryan, we need sound on this thing, and we're delivering at 5. And I like. That day I had woken up late and I was like, what time is that? I'm like, it's like 2:30. Yeah. I'm like, delivery's at 5? And he's like, yeah, bro, just like whatever you can. And it's like a 30-second sequence with crowds and people walking in a car, like all this stuff. And then that's when you're just like, well, this is like kind of a time to flex my skill. And hopefully if I get more work down the line, and really proud of that work. Go watch the, I Love You, I'm Sorry, Gracie Abrams music video.
Good plug.
Nice. Good plug. That's some of my work and some of my best work. That's awesome. That was a fun one.
How do you guys go about like taking notes from these producers, and does that inform your creative process at all? Like, does that inform like new ideas? Like, oh, wait a second, this is actually something I never thought about, this note, and maybe adding that could elevate the work, the color, or the sound.
I
Does
mean,
that
I think
happen
it's just
often?
like at the end of the day, like, you know, we are creative, but at the same time, like these aren't our projects, right?
Right.
So it's like we're just gonna kind of listen to what they want.
Mm,
So it's like,
mm.
you know, it's like if they want something to sound a certain way or be colored a certain way, like we'll give our suggestions and like we'll give our creative input because that's like why they hired us. And
Speak
like,
for yourself, okay?
but no, but it's like, you know, at the end of the day, like this is their project, this is their work, this is the director, right? We're gonna
Right.
give our influence and what we can do, but it's like, and we'll try to like influence the best thing possible. But at the end of the day, like we're not the directors.
Unless
Dude.
those notes are dumb as shit, okay? There are some notes that you get that are like, you just look, oh, there was a note I got once, and it was about, it was like, this is what, it was like, someone was smoking a cigarette, I think, and one of the hardest sounds to do is like, you know when you inhale a cigarette, there's like,
Yeah, there's like a little fizzle.
the fizzle.
Yeah.
Okay. Go to someone in real life who's smoking a cigarette. You will not hear that sound. It is a completely manufactured and fake sound, unless it's like a super close up. But I'm talking people are on like a medium or a wide, and they want these like this crisp sound, and like I just hate cigarette. I really struggle with the sound of cigarettes. And this director goes, "Can you make the sound of the cigarette more sensual?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" I'm like already like in pain that I have to, you know, it's like little things like that are silly. But like, you know, of course there's always like, then you get really good notes where you're like, oh, I didn't even think of that. Or, oh, wow, that's like a really good vision. And then sometimes it's as simple as like, can you turn that down? And it's like, yeah, I can do that.
Yeah.
It's honestly when people's notes get too creative, they become like, not too creative, but like
Too broad.
Yeah, they think they're being specific, but it ends up being like the most vague thing you could ever do. You know, it's like
It's like directing. It's like be more happy.
Yeah, it's like
Right.
it's like conveying imagine someone like has the idea of like, oh, this is like I'm thinking about love.
I want the sound to be more beautiful.
Yeah, like they're thinking about love and beauty, and they're like, do it more like this painting, and they show like an abstract photo. Like they show you like an ink block test, and you're like, what do you mean? That's your note? It's just like a Rorschach test? Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So those are always...
And also when people like are asking for the moon, and it's like, especially with the color, it's like, it's like, make my like Sony footage look like beautifully lit, airy, raw. Like, it's like, I can't do that.
Or
like,
they like
Or it's not-
skimped out on production sound, and it sounds...
We're
really
trying our
bad.
best. Like, we'll do everything in our power to make it look and sound as good as possible, but like, there's limitations, and I think like I think people think that color and sound will fix. I think that is a big thing. It's like when people come in to sound and color, so that can fix their film.
Yeah.
And
Right.
it's
That
like
thing should have been fixed in the script.
The script, it should already be good. We're just the cherry on top. It should already be good. So that's another thing.
Yeah, fix it in the script.
Fixing the
That's
script.
the place, man. It's just on paper.
Right.
There's this one project with USC Athletics, what was it, Arrival of the Trojans?
Oh, yeah.
You colored
I
though.
didn't do the color, yeah.
I remember my parents sent me this like article in Chinese, and it was like about Flint's journey and how he made the thing. And at the end, it was talking about his friend Zach did the color grading. It was all in Chinese. I was like, yo, I know these people. Like,
Whoa.
that's crazy.
That would be cool to see.
Yeah, and have you guys done like collaborations with USC Athletics on other stuff?
that was the first time. I mean, we've done collabs
Technically,
with
they
Flint.
reposted Barbershop. They did repost
Yeah,
us.
not a
collab.
sport thing, but like, we worked with Flint before. Like we did a Coachella video before, because I met him freshman year, and I remember like I had stalked his Instagram, and I thought he did some cool stuff. So I was like, "Hey man, I'm Zach." He's like, "What? I'm Flint." He's the best guy in the world now.
So
He's
cool.
like the coolest dude.
So
like when you look at him, like he does not look like a guy who would be doing like the type of work that he does. Like he just looks like a surfer, but instead he's like creating the craziest like content in the world. But yeah, the color on the thing was fun, because I think what's cool, it's like for him, like most things I'm coloring are live action, but this is totally animated, right?
Yeah.
All like I'm working within the visual effects, color sphere, so that's really a fun challenge and interesting, and like we get to really play with colors, and it's super 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 cool. So I was blessed that he threw me on the project, and very proud of how it came out. It looked good on the Jumbotron, so
And you guys, I remember you guys showed the barbershop to Pete Carroll, right?
yes,
so cool.
yeah.
Like that was sick.
That was
Yeah.
so
It was so random.
awesome.
Yeah, so cool.
Like, would you guys want to do more things relating to sports in the future, you think?
Actually, no.
Okay.
And my reasoning is I worked in sports Well, we both. So
We both worked
I
in
were
sports.
yeah right out of high school. I was actually a spring admit here, so I was at community college for a semester, and I worked like almost like I worked at Friday through like Sunday doing sports broadcasting for Bally Sports, and then that ended up becoming like Spectrum, Fox Sports, like that whole realm of things. And I've just worked so much in sports. I could see us doing like a creative thing in sports world, but like
Definitely not leaning into it.
I'm very weary of it because like I've already done so much, and then I had him join me, and like he did work with sports as well, and I kind of feel like I've been there.
I think it's cool.
Yeah.
I think we'll, hopefully we'll be doing more directing things, but if we stay in the sound and color sphere, give us the sports stuff to pay our bills, so we'll take it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and what are some of the future stuff you're hoping to make? Like, is there any specific genre or anything?
Comedy. I mean, I think like,
comedy, dark comedy.
dark comedy, raunchy comedy, fun comedy, like all comedy, because I think there's such a void right now in the theaters. The Judd Apatow, Adam McKay, Ben Stiller era of like those type of films are like not in theaters, and we want to bring that back because I think people need to laugh, and I think that's what we want to do. So hopefully that is like the type of feature films that we're going to be making. We've been writing some, and get in front of some studio execs and hopefully start pitching, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, that is the next step, making comedy films. And we like to explore other genres, but we know what our niche is right now, and like if that's our way to get in our ticket, we're gonna take it.
Yeah. No, that's super awesome, and I'm like so excited to like see the stuff you guys do next.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean we're stoked as well. I mean even doing more commercial work because like at the end of the day when you're making a feature, I think what is it? The average length I think of time you spend making a feature is roughly 3 to 4 years or something like that. That's like the average lifespan of making something. Yeah. And so in 3 to 4 years, if you're hired as a director on something, you can maybe sustain yourself with whatever contract you get paid, or maybe if it's fully independent, you're making nothing. Like we want to be able to sustain ourselves, and commercial work would do that while we also like love commercials. I mean, growing up, watching like the best commercials ever are so much inspiration for what I do today. Yeah. And so continuing doing more commercials. I think soon, we're maybe going to do another short. It really depends, but like we're writing features, hopefully going to pitch some features to some people that want to fund it, and we'll see once we head out of college.
I think a main thing that we've talked about is that there's been this weird shift in the industry where it's like you can't make your feature till you're like 35, 40 years old. Yeah. And I don't know, it's like, where did that, like, why is that established? Yeah. Because the best directors, Steven Spielberg and like Martin Scorsese and everyone, you look at when they made their first feature, very young, super young, like younger than all of us. And I think it's like, why did that go away? Yeah. It's like, I know the resources and whatnot might have not, are more limited now, and it's harder to get your thing off the ground. But you need to practice. And we know that our first feature is not going to be perfect, but we also know it will be entertaining. And I think you just need to make it and then get to the next one, right? It's practice, repetition. So I think there is no reason why, just because that we're young, we can't make things that are just as entertaining, just as marketable, and just as like fun. So we believe that we have the ability to make a feature, and why not?
That's sick. No, I love that motto, and I hope that it becomes the new norm, where people our age are able to do these bigger things that people expect people that are 30 to do.
And we proved that with like the Doritos thing. Like
people didn't expect someone our age would be doing something.
We would have been the youngest
level. And we would have been the youngest to ever win like that contest. And it's like we're doing things that would be like, oh, you're like too young to do that, you know? Yeah. It's that if it's available, like attack. Like I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
I like you said, it's not gonna be perfect. I have no intention of my first feature being
Oscar worthy,
or even close. Like it should be something that's like,
fun.
Showing
your voice.
Yeah, it just gives the idea of who you are. And we've made 40, 50 short films. The equivalent of that for movies is like before you make anything that you would actually show to someone would be like you just have maybe 1-2 movies, just get it out of the way with.
And then Adweek posted right when the Doritos thing had launched on the Super Bowl. Article came out pretty much saying that if our ad would have won for the Doritos competition and aired, that and Adweek's like one of the highest regarded like ad what's it called, like it's like the Hollywood Reporter of ads, that if our ad would have won, our ad would have been like the #1 ad out of all the commercials that aired. which is pretty crazy. Like it's a pretty credible source and also just like a big honor. And it would have been fun to see that actually play out, but it's pretty cool that they predicted that. And I think that also, that means that we were competing against like the biggest ad agencies in the world and the biggest like stars. And like, it's just us with like our friends and a couple dreams and like a little bit of cash, and we made something cool. So I think it just gave us a validation. Like age doesn't matter. Yeah. We can make it.
Right. Going off of that, like what would be some advice you would give like maybe your high school senior yourself, or some of our listeners who are considering film school or pursuing a career in film? Would you say just to go ahead and do it? Like, what are some best ways
some knowledge, right?
to learn?
Dude, I wish all I would ever say is like, because I teach over summers, or have in the past, for like film ed and stuff. And everything I always, like, the thing I would always say to people is just like, just keep making stuff. Mm-hmm. Like, if you just keep making stuff, it doesn't like just write. It's daunting to look at like a blank page and just write something. But at the end of the day, if you just write it, make it, it's just great practice. Put a camera in your hand and just go and like shoot it, right? It's so important. I shot everything we did in high school, like having the camera in my hand, and that just teaches you so much, like feeling and like, editing. You just have to like actually keep making stuff. And everyone says that, but not even at a level that's like, like just write. No, like start to finish. Not just like making it as in like, come up with an idea. An idea does not mean anything. Anyone can be like, I'm gonna make a film about someone who like is a ninja and like, that's it. Anyone could come up with like that, some premise. But to say like, to make it a story where it's like a ninja with like a really sad backstory and then like a plot twist, and just like going beginning to end, and you're like, okay, well, I need to get a costume and I need to get an actor and I need to go shoot and then edit and then do sound
and then premiere
and then show people and then get notes and then hear back and then be like, okay, well, on to the next. Like, not I'm gonna go back and reshoot some stuff, just on to the next. And also I think there is a good, like, find a natural progression. Don't force yourself to like go make. I feel like especially now, I am like ready for features in a way that a year ago I wasn't. And I know that. I know I couldn't have sit down a year ago and written a feature like we have now. Mm-hmm. It is a very natural mental, like physical progression that happens.
Ready.
And so, like in high school, I remember we made a 2-minute short film together, and then another 2-minute, and a 3-minute short. And our teacher was like, maybe you should make like a 5-minute short.
We're like, no.
And we're like, no, because we're like, we need to make a 12-minute, 10-minute short film with a big story and an arc. And our teacher's like, please don't. Like, please don't.
And we were like,
and he was like, it's not gonna, like, just keep building. You're gonna build naturally to like, your ideas will get better and bigger naturally, that it will inform the length. Don't like put the size or like like grandiose of your idea. Don't put that first. It's like your story will just build to that. And then we made, in our like junior year of high school, we did not listen to him, made a 12-minute short film, the worst thing we've ever made. It's undoubtedly the worst thing we ever made. It's really bad, and
we won't show anyone.
I look, and no one will ever see it. I look back on it.
I don't think it's as bad as he hates it. I think it's like tolerable.
The opening scene is good, but it's good because it is word for word a copy of the opening scene in another film, recontextualized. So it's like the only good part is something completely stolen, and that is the only good part. And so it's just we so forced it. And I remember 2 months of our life in high school, which 2 months in high school is an eternity. Like, it is forever. And we spent 2 months on this thing, so proud of it. We've been hyping it up to our teacher, to our class, and we're like, we're going to screen it today. And everyone's like, oh my God. Like, because we've made good stuff till then. And so I was like, okay, Ryan and Zach are going to do something. We showed this movie, 2 laughs throughout the whole thing. No, the ending happens. No some pity claps. And the teacher goes, yeah,
I told you so.
And he was like, on to the next, pretty much. He was like, like, you guys tried with this, but you should have just stuck. And he was really blunt about it. He's like, it's not great. It was not even good. You should just move on and make a new project, like scrap it.
I think film is not for the, like, weary at heart. Like it's
Yeah.
hard. It's really hard. We've faced so much rejection and failure, and you just have to keep going, and you have to just say, I'm gonna make my thing. I'm just gonna make it. And I think because Ryan and I were like, all right, no matter what, like we want to get to our end goal. Like, we lost Doritos, and we just wrote a feature. Like we just kind of keep going. And I think maybe my advice to people out there is that like I think there's been this like, before in the past, like, you don't need film school. Film school is like, you don't need, I believe that you do need film school in the terms of like, it forces you to make things, and it forces you to meet a lot of people who also want to make things. Yes, the curriculum might not be like, you can learn the same thing on YouTube. Like, totally agree with all of that. But I think like being in that, the atmosphere of competitiveness and people pushing each other, like you can't replicate that and just like going, I'm going to go like shoot it. Like you have, and there's also great teachers here too, and mentors and stuff. So I think like film school is needed. Like I would suggest, like if you want to pursue film and you have the opportunity and the means to go, because you're going to meet a lot of like future collaborators. Like our cohort, we will work with those people for the rest of our lives. And without film school, we'd have never met those people. And I think like that's what we came for college for, and we got it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
No, that's awesome, guys. And we have a thing where we do on the podcast where we have the previous guest leave the current guest a question.
Okay.
And this is your question.
What a Daisy ass.
Where do you go to find solitude? Like, when you feel like you need to crash out?
Oh, Crash, interesting.
I feel like the beach resets me. I think honestly just the sound of the waves is just like my like way of like, I have ADHD, so my brain just is always just moving, and for some reason that is like my space where I like everything is just calm for a second. Because the moment I leave, then I'm going. I love the way my brain works, but it's just like, I think the water and the ocean and everything is just so calm. That is my space and you need those breaks, right? Because like you're gonna overheat. But yeah, that's my space. Where do you go?
Yeah, I mean, the location doesn't matter really. I mean, I think.
What do you do?
I guess kind of if I crash out, I'll like go play my drums or something. That's something I'll do. I'll go bang on some drums, music, that sort of thing. But I feel like what it really is I pace. I like, if I need to like think in any way, I just pace. I'll be in my room, I'll pace. Whenever we're coming up with ideas, I pace. And yeah, if I need to crash out, I just kind of complain to my friends and I just whine. And I think it's good. I think it's like really healthy to just be like really like whiny about certain things to like a select group of people who are willing to just like listen for a moment. Like he's heard me just like bitch and moan about so many things, And so I think that's valid, and that's all it is. It can be anywhere, but
so how about when, like, let's say after like a long shoot, right? Like we know we're both tired, like we're cooked, and maybe even after like spend days editing. What do you do? Like, what is your day to relax? Like,
I internalize it and swallow it deep down and never let it come out.
It's a terrible answer.
I asked Daisy this too, so I'll throw this at you guys too. What would be one piece of art? It could be a film, it could be a painting, it could be a music that you would bring to the deserted island if you're stuck there.
Oh,
I know what you would bring.
No, you don't. You're gonna think I'm gonna say a movie, but I wasn't gonna say that movie.
I'd bring a guitar.
Okay.
That's
sick.
Desert island.
Yeah, I hate that answer. It's cool.
You're gonna bring Hot Rod, but then you don't have anywhere to play it, and then you're screwed. You're like, you bring your movie, but you forgot the TV and everything. You're like, damn.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, I
have some abstract painting. I'd bring the Mona Lisa.
I'd bring Guernica in. No, I don't know. Probably Hot Rod. It's just like
I knew it.
It's just like it's kind of just like the best movie of all time. Have you guys ever seen it?
I don't think so.
Oh my gosh!
No.
Please enlighten yourselves.
Am I missing
Yeah.
It's that's our style of filming.
It's
Gotcha.
That movie is peak. So
so really I'm bringing a guitar and he's bringing Hot Rod. That's what we'll bring to the desert.
Yeah.
Watching it while playing.
Oh yeah.
You know what? I actually did have one extra question.
Yeah.
Please. No more questions.
When you show your films and you make your films in the future, what is the things you want your audience to leave the theater, thinking about, or what do you want them to take away from it?
That's our favorite part. I mean, the only reason we make movies is because we like the people's reaction. I think there's this weird thing in film school. It's like make movies for yourself and like art is for you. But like I believe, and we both believe that film is a service. Like we're doing something for other people, and I think that allows our films to be better because we want to make it enjoyable for everyone. But we love to make people laugh, and I think like also like we like to move people in different ways as well. But I think laughter is like the best feeling in the world.
Yeah, I mean, we just want people to walk away like entertained,
And
like, that's it. I mean, like
Made our day better. Make their
yeah,
day better.
just if you walk away with like an experience where you either go like, oh, like that was a good time, or that made me feel funny, or like they genuinely like that is it. It's like it's not. We don't have a. It's not deep. Like honestly, we're not deep like that, and I don't think there's a need. I think that's good because there. I would say most people making movies do have a like deeper sense of like I want someone to walk away feeling like changed, altered, and that sort of thing. I'm like, I don't need someone to be altered by the end of my movie. I really don't. I hope someone can walk away and remember a couple funny lines and like
quote it to your friends,
quote it a little bit, or maybe even just walk away going like that was an interesting plot line, like that was fun, and like just a good, entertaining time.
But I will argue that I think comedy films are important because I think like
so important.
of course like the world is so dark, so you need, but like it's true. It's like people need to laugh. People need to be able to relax and like let go and like have a good time. And we hope that we can provide a good time.
Yeah.
No, that's so important, and I love that. Like, we need more of that in the world, and I feel like film is like an escape, right? It's like
Yes.
you want to be lost in a world where you're filled with joy, and lost in the absurdity of everything, right? So I love that's what you guys do.
Exactly, and like there is a place for every type of film to exist, and I think both of us, some of our favorite movies are the complete opposite of what we want to make. Like on my top list of movies is like if I go through like the letterbox, it's like Hot Rod, My Life is a Zucchini, which is like this animated stop motion thing about like a orphan. Okay, Sound of Metal, and then In the Mood for Love. And it's like all of those things like create me, even though I don't want to make those movies, that someone much more emotionally in tune with themselves are going to make those other films, okay? Someone a lot more, better at that. That's not going to be me, and I love the people who make those movies, and that's just not what we're, as of now, going to make. Maybe down the line I would love to make we could branch out and do other films.
Whiplash,
but
La La Land.
I think, we've been told so many times, like, find your niche, find your thing that you do, and then you can always break it later. So many comedy directors do that. Adam McKay kind of found himself doing that. Todd Phillips. Ben Stiller even did that. Like
with Severance.
Yeah. That just Jordan Peele, like all these comedy, you get to
Mike White,
Mike, oh my god, great. You always come around to this other, you always will discover something in you that will change down the line, and I'm sure that'll happen. Coen brothers even kind of did that when they split off and do Macbeth now, and
Macbeth,
like all these and
but
so
for now we'll just make people laugh.
we just want to entertain.
That's awesome.
Great.